Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my picks for the top 10 best Mafia vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online in 2024. We've had some new vehicles released into the game since the last time I made one of these videos, and I feel like they are better fits than the vehicles I picked in the previous list. If you are interested in that previous list, I will link it in the description down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, dislike if you don't, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's go ahead and get into it with number 10. Now at number 10 we have a vehicle that is free, but it is relatively challenging to get unless you can buy it from somebody else. This is the Benefactor Dubsta 2, and it is a rare variant of the regular Benefactor Dubsta. Now this can only be spawned in 3 different locations on the map, and if you want to know how to get this vehicle, I will link a guide that I have made to finding it in the description down below. The Dubsta 2 has some special customization features in comparison to the regular Benefactor Dubsta 1, and it also has some different appearance changes in comparison to the normal Dubsta 1 as well. Like the black badging as well as the black stripes on the side of the car, it also has an offset rear spare wheel on it as well, and some other special customization on top of that. And it also has a tinted front windshield, which is pretty cool. The Benefactor Dubsta 2 has no other performance changes in comparison to the Dubsta 1. It is basically just a different cosmetic look, but I do feel like the blacked out look of it is definitely a little bit more sleek and kind of fits a little bit better with the Mafia vehicle sort of look. And being that you can get it for free and that it's kind of rare, I also feel like these are good features to have when it comes to a Mafia vehicle in GTA Online. That's it for number 10. Let's talk about number 9. At number 9 we have the Enos Deity, coming in at $1,383,750 if you have the trade price, and if you do not have the trade price, it's going to run you $1,845,000. So a little bit steeper. It is definitely advantageous to get that trade price unlocked, but if you can't, it is still a good vehicle no matter what. This thing does have Imani tech, and you can put a missile lock-on jammer on it, as well as an armor plating upgrade and a oil slick proximity mine dropper. As a bonus to this, it also has bullet resistant windows that can take up to 15 shots from an assault rifle, which is pretty cool. It's relatively fast. It is rear wheel drive, so it does get a little bit of a slower start off the line, but once you're moving, the acceleration is pretty good. The top speed is also nice enough, and of course it is a 4-seater, so you can fit 3 other members of your Mafia crew in it, and the trunk has a decent amount of space for storing things that you may want to hide from law enforcement agencies and stuff like that. The Deity is an awesome car. It's definitely a good one to have in free mode. It's got a really classic, sleek look to it. It's based off the Bentley Mulsanne or the Flying Spur, a little bit of both, honestly. Overall, it's a fantastic vehicle, and it's got some great customization. You should definitely pick it up if you're looking for a Mafia vehicle with 4 seats. Next up at number 8, we have a bit of a budget-friendly option. This is the Enos Huntley S, a very, very old car in GTA Online, and it goes for $195,000. So it is pretty cheap, and you can find it on the 4-door section on Legendary Motorsport, very close to the bottom. Now it doesn't have any fancy Imani tech features or armor plating upgrades that you can do to it or anything like that, but it is a pretty decent looking SUV that's also very quick, especially for its age. It also has a little bit of customization, which helps too. Overall, it is a very good looking, simple and cheap Mafia vehicle to roll around in. And the good thing about it being cheap is you and your friends who are in your Mafia as well can get many of them for a relatively low price tag. I feel like pretty much everybody can afford to spend 195 grand on a car these days in GTA Online. Next up at number 7 we have the DeClassy Granger 3600 LX, coming in at $1,500,000 to $2 million even. This thing had a price increase last year from about $1 million with the trade price to $1.5 million if you didn't have the trade price, so it has gone up in price a little bit. And it's very odd, I don't know why this thing got increased, but a lot of the other Imani tech vehicles didn't. But anyways, it is a very good looking rendition of a Chevy Suburban, and it has Imani tech, so it has armor plating upgrades that you can put on the side of it. It has those bullet resistant windows, and of course the missile lock-on jammer, as well as the oil slick proximity mines. So it's a very, very well kitted out vehicle. Unfortunately, the 3600 LX is actually slower than the regular Granger 3500 LX that's been in the game since 2013. So that is a little bit on the sad side, but it is still a very cool looking vehicle. It's got some nice customization as well, and overall it definitely is a great fit for a Mafia vehicle in GTA Online. Next up at number 6, if you need some speed, this is the Benefactor Shafter V12, coming in at $116,000. And you can also get an armored variant of this vehicle as well if you're interested, if that suits your Mafia needs a little bit better than the regular V12. This thing is super quick though, it has a very high top speed. It is a little bit weak off the line because it is rear-wheel drive only, but once you get moving, it's pretty decent. It doesn't have a whole lot in the way of customization, but the options that it does have are pretty nice and can help make the vehicle just a little bit more slick. This thing is awesome. It is a 4-seater, of course, and it has one of the best sounding engines in the entire game. The Shafter V12 is just generally an awesome vehicle, and I would definitely recommend owning it. And being that it's only $116,000, you really cannot go wrong with it. Now, a cool fact about the armored version of it too is that the armored version has bullet resistant windows, so if you're really worried about getting sniped out of a vehicle, the armored version might be better for you, and you get pretty much the same speed benefits that the regular V12 has, just in armored form. Next up at number 5, we have the Albany Cavalcade XL, coming in at $1,665,000. Now, unfortunately, the Cavalcade XL, unlike some of the vehicles on this list, does not have Imani tech or anything really special like that. However, it is one of the best handling SUVs I've ever driven. It also has a decent amount of customization, and it is definitely a very luxurious looking SUV for sure. It is based off of a Cadillac Escalade in real life, and that definitely is something that a lot of mobsters are going to be rolling around in. The vehicle also has pretty good acceleration. It is of course all-wheel drive. The top speed isn't the greatest ever, but it could be a lot worse. Overall, I feel like it is just a nice looking, sleek SUV for mobsters to roll around in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you don't have one of these yet, I would recommend checking it out for sure. However, there are some slightly better vehicles coming up on this list just ahead of it, so stay tuned for those. Next up at number 4, we have a bit of a Uno reverse card. This is a Vapid Illusion, and it's available for $1,835,000. This thing is based off of a Ford Expedition, but it also kind of has a very similar front end to the Ford Explorer, which is what the police drive, so you can kind of pull a little bit of a reversal on them there with that. But it's a very good SUV. This thing has Imani tech. It has the armor plating that you can put on it. It also has the missile lock-on jammer, of course, and the oil slick proximity mines. However, it does not have bullet resistant windows, which is a bit of a liability. So that does kind of suck. It can take about 4 RPGs though, so it is pretty well armored, just as long as you're not getting shot at. The Illusion's not the greatest SUV I've ever driven. It does have pretty good acceleration though, and the top speed is also pretty good. The handling is decent enough. You can definitely get around corners at speed with this thing, just not quite as good as something like the Albany Cavalcade XL, for example. But it still does hold its own. It is all-wheel drive, it's got a lot of customization. It is definitely a very, very good vehicle to pick up if you're looking for a new Mafia vehicle. Next up at number 3, we have the Enos Jubilee, coming in at $1,237,500 if you have the trade price. If not, it's going to run you $1,650,000. Either way, honestly, both of these prices are a bit of a bargain, I would say. Definitely the trade price is advantageous to have, but no matter what, the Jubilee is an awesome vehicle. It's based off of the Rolls-Royce Cullinan in real life, which is definitely pretty popular with mobsters and gangsters and stuff like that, if they're, you know, in the big leagues for sure, because it is a very expensive vehicle in real life. This thing also has Imani tech, so you can put the armor plating upgrade on this thing, as well as the oil slick proximity mine dropper and the missile lock-on jammer. But this thing does have bullet resistant windows that can take about 15 shots from an assault rifle, so it is a little bit better on the protection side of things. It also has some nice customization. It definitely goes around corners quite a lot better than most of the other SUVs that are on this list, and it has much better acceleration than a lot of them as well, with a relatively high top speed for what it is. I definitely like the squared off look of this thing a little bit more so than some of the other vehicles on this list, and the customization options that you can get, especially on the front bumper on this vehicle, are really nice to have, because without any customization it kind of looks a little bit weird, but when you customize it fully, it is definitely a pretty awesome looking vehicle, and it's definitely one that I would recommend picking up for sure. Next up, we have a brand new vehicle, and this is the Gallivanter Baller STD, coming in at $1,715,000. The Gallivanter Baller STD is brand new in GTA Online, and it is kind of interesting because it's a bit of a mix of old Imani tech and new Imani tech, and I'll explain that now. Unfortunately, it does not have an armor plating upgrade, however it does have the missile lock-on jammer, and it also does have bullet resistant windows. So this thing is kind of a stealth variant of an Imani tech car because it does not have the armor plating and it doesn't also have the oil slick proximity mine dropper, which is interesting enough. This thing is really quick though, and it kind of plays off of the Gallivanter Baller ST that we got a couple of years ago. In its customization, you can make it look very similar to that car, but I do feel like the STD is the better looking version of the Baller ST. It's definitely one that I would recommend checking into if you're interested. The fact that it's got Imani tech, but you can't really tell just by looking at the car, is kind of a subtle flex. It's definitely a pretty awesome vehicle. It handles well, accelerates super well, very high top speed, very hard to keep up with. Overall, it is definitely a great Mafia vehicle for 2024. And at number 1, we have the Ubermacht Rebla GTS, coming in at $1,185,000. The Rebla GTS is one of my favorite SUVs in the entire game. It's relatively cheap, coming in just under $1.2 million, of course, and it has a ton of customization, and no matter what you do to this thing, you can make it look super mean. The headlights on this car in particular I find to be very menacing looking, and it's got a lot of great features beyond that when it comes to customization. It's also one of the faster SUVs in Grand Theft Auto Online, so if you're trying to get away from people, whether it's in a twisty area or an area that relies heavily on top speed, the Rebla GTS is going to have you covered because it is very good in the corners and it's also very good in a straight line with great acceleration to match in both. The Rebla GTS is definitely my pick for the best Mafia vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online for 2024. This thing's absolutely fantastic. It looks great. It performs well. Tons of room in the back. It is of course a 4-seater. There's nothing that can go wrong with an Ubermacht Rebla GTS, except for the fact that it doesn't have Imani tech, which is unfortunate, but you can't have it all. Anyway guys, there you go. Those are my picks for the top 10 best Mafia vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online in 2024. Let me know what you thought of the list in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't. Let me know if you think I missed any vehicles in the comments as well. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.